Welcome, Giants. We are live. My name is Joe Perrone, and this is the Freedom Hour on the Wake Up with Giants Network. I'm an entrepreneur and a strategist, and I help business owners and professionals design the life of their dreams. This show is designed to help you overcome the biggest roadblocks to your dream life. It will require you to examine life a little deeper, find the gifts that you were given at birth. You will discover your strength, your clarity, and purpose. You will discover freedom. This is a reminder to subscribe on YouTube. We have a wonderful Giants network. And today on the show, we have Xzavier Richardson. Welcome, Xzavier.
Thank you for having me, Joe. How are you?
I'm wonderful. And just so the audience knows, Xzavier Richardson is the CEO and founder of Hands On Moving and Storage. This is a multifaceted moving company rooted in the greater New Haven area. He services families and businesses across the entire nation. Steadfast in his commitment to his community, Xzavier founded the Helping Hands Foundation in 2021 to focus on youth advocacy, emphasizing the importance of education and lupus awareness. A diagnosis he refuses to let define him. He's also the CEO of Hands On Express, Freight and Warehousing, Hands On Landscaping. With his wealth of knowledge and mainly experience, he recently jump-started Xzavier Richardson Business Consulting. He was raised in the Newhall neighborhood of New Haven, Connecticut, and he acquired an early education through the New Haven and Hamden public school system. And upon graduating from Hamden High School, he attended Newbury College in Massachusetts, then went on to Southern Connecticut State University, where he obtained his bachelor's degree in business management. He has a family history in the moving industry. Mr. Richardson chose to carry on his father's legacy through hands-on moving and storage. From its inception in 2014, he envisioned leading a company that embodied who he is as a strong professional, timely, accountable, and transparent. His entrepreneurial success can be attributed to his extensive leadership experience within retail, healthcare, and transportation services. Xzavier, you come with a wealth of knowledge. You come with a wisdom well beyond your years, and I'm excited for the audience to learn more about that today.
Thank you, man.
So I always ask the first question, which is the Freedom Hour. So Xzavier, what is freedom to you? Help me define your version of freedom.
Freedom to me is just being able to do what you love. And honestly, I always say, like, from an entrepreneur standpoint, I think entrepreneurship is just dreaming and you're living a dream. So I think that kind of relates to the freedom aspect of it as well, because, you also have the freedom to do what you want to do when you want to do it, when you're actually living your dream. So, that's kind of, I keep it short and sweet. That's kind of the way I look at it. Just doing what you love. And that's what we all hope to do one day. We hope to work hard to come to a stopping point to actually, do what we love and reap the benefits of our, the hard work we put in the past,
And Xzavier, with your business experience, and you have you're in our New Haven, Connecticut local area, and we're in the same network together. And I've seen you grow. We've grown together in business, and I want to spotlight for the people listening at home. Your business consulting revolves around getting people out of that 9-to-5 mindset and into that empire mindset. And I really love that. I'd like to spend some time with that today. Can you tell us more about the corporate career that you were in, and you had a successful job working for a local hospital, and had you were high up on the rung, but tell us a little bit more about that background and where this began.
Yeah, I got into retail very early at the age of 19. I worked at Lowe's Home Improvement. I got promoted within, 3 times within that first year. So I was climbing the ladder as I was state. At 19 years old, I'm over here managing people that's 50 years old, 45 years old. I'm just a 19-year-old kid with, still no facial hair. And I'm 30 now, but, that's another conversation. But I went on to get into more retail, and then I got into the healthcare industry, once I got into management there. I saw at that moment that there was a future for me to climb the ladder working at the hospital. But I just also knew that that wasn't my destiny. I knew that I really wanted to work for myself, make opportunity for others, do something in my community I could make a change, which I really believe in employment, working for someone that looks like you, so on and so on makes a difference. So that journey, while working a 9 to 5. I appreciate that. That made me who I am. I learned a lot from their systems. I learned a lot about employee relations. So that journey in that period of time was awesome. I would not knock it at all. But it was definitely was a transition time where it's like it's time to go. And that's what led me to who I am now. Being in business for 8 years, and been self-employed for 5 years now, 100%. At one point I was doing both, but 5 years ago I took the leap of faith to be 100%, self-employed.
And you talk about the lessons that you learned in the 9 to 5 job that led you to success in this portion of your life. Can you tell us more about those lessons that were learned, that you were able to learn them on somebody else's dime? On the corporate side. Tell us more about some of those lessons that you learned, some of those stories that shaped how you go about business today.
Yeah, I mean, valuing people, value, having some type of worth. It's two folds to that. Me learning to value employees, understand that the work they put in is, it matters. It actually shapes and molds your organization, and also understanding your worth on the opposite side, as far as you are the employee, and if someone else look at you as being, worthy of this, or you bring this to the table, you bring that to the table. And there was some times where I noticed that while I was working at 9 to 5, I had a lot of worth, but it wasn't being appreciated. I also understood that I was just a number on a piece of paper. I was employee number 1,000 and whatever. And, I could easily be subbed out, I call it. I could be easily replaced. So those lessons along the way really taught me that when I do get into doing this 100%, value my employees, understand that they're my gold mine. They're everything into the success of where I want to be within my business, but also understand that I also gotta share with these people how great they are. Remind them that I appreciate them. Show them that there is room to climb here in my organization, but while you're doing that, you're going to be appreciated. And then all my biggest thing is that open door policy. No matter how big I get within business, I still want to be able to have someone come into this door and have a normal conversation about how your kids are doing, how's your home life, those things, just the natural things that we go through on a daily basis. We forget that sometimes the employee just want to talk to you about something outside of work. I just wanted to say hello and how your kids are doing. So I think that is the piece where I really cherish to this day, where like sometimes I used to work at 9 to 5 and the boss won't even ask how my life is. It's just be like, hey, could you go do that? Hey, could you go do that? Hey, could you go do that? And it's like, oh yeah, I could do that. But I just got married 2 weeks ago. Do you know that? You didn't even say congratulations. So things like that, people don't understand that it makes a difference. Just showing appreciation for things like that. So
For you, right? And I know this, and for the people that are listening, Xavier runs his business. This is his employees love him, and it's a true testament to learning. It's almost like Xavier learned what not to do. Right? You learn
yeah,
you learn how not to be. Nobody gave you the book on how to be, but you
correct.
definitely learned how not to be and how you didn't want to be treated. Right? So tell me about, you had older people working for you and you were the young guy on the block. Tell me about how you gained respect in that organization to where you were promoted through the ranks really fast.
I mean, just honestly, I think in the beginning I had to get over the young aspect, which I still deal with in business. When you go into a room and someone's much younger than you, you think that their experience is not up to par. But as you kind of know, I'm kind of an old soul. So what I just kind of had to be was I just had to show my worth. I went in there, I worked hard. The biggest thing, I worked side by side with those individuals to say like, hey, even though I'm your boss, even though I'm much younger than you, I'm able to still humble myself and move, this stone with you at Lowe's Home Improvement, move these pallets with you, work in the rain with you, work in the cold with you. If you have a question, I'm here for you. So these different things that they saw was like, oh wow, he's not that young guy that's just going to be pointing fingers and just act like his head is so big. He's an actual good person. He's decent. He could get his hands dirty. And I think the youth part of it, while also helping on that labor side, showcase that I could kind of meet you halfway. Like I get what you're doing, maybe physical. I get what you're doing, maybe hard work. Let's do it together a little bit. Yes, I'm still your boss. Let's do it together a little bit. But if I worked in the cold with you, you shouldn't complain because you saw me do it with you before. And that's the same thing when it comes to the movement thing. Like when my crew come across different things, like, oh, it's a windy day, or it's pouring down raining. We have to move a customer in the rain. The reason why we don't close down or people just walk off the job is they remember back in 2014, 15, 16 that these guys that are now the VP and the CEO, they were the same people that was out here in the field doing the same thing that we're complaining about. So we can relate. And I think that goes a long way where I just showcase early on that I can relate with you. I get what you're doing. Yes, I may be young. Let me show you how I could do it with you. So when you're not doing it with me, you can still perform at a high level.
And what you're describing and defining perfectly is a true leader and servant leadership, and that's what you always stand head and shoulders above many business owners and many people, in my humble opinion, with the leadership. You lead by example, and you lead by showing the way. You don't you're not sitting up there on your high holy tower, ordering everybody right. You're there side by side, showing and teaching other people this is how it's done, and you're showing them the way to be successful, and that is getting side by side with people, meeting people where they are, and you've done it in your 9 to 5. You do it in business now, and that's why you've been so successful, and we've seen you grow over the last 7 or 8 years. So what I really want to get into as well here today is you have 4 businesses, and you've taken every business since I've known you, and every year it grows, and every year it's even more successful. And you've taken your knowledge of how to lead people, and you've created some amazing leaders in your organization. Talk to me about, first off, what have you done to find talent, retain that talent, and promote them to the next levels in their life?
That's a good question. So in the beginning became very easy because I have a solid network. So I think me just being community based, me being involved with a lot of different organizations such as my fraternity, Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, these different avenues that I take in my personal steps helped me once I became an entrepreneur, and help fulfill those jobs and so on very quickly. But as year 5, year 6, year 7 comes along, that personal network starts to get a little bit more thin on, hey, I'm just gonna work for Xavier because I like Xavier. Now you got to kind of just have a good organization that, hey, how does this benefit me? Do you have health insurance? Blah 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 blah. Like now it's checking off the box. Like, how do your organization benefit me as an employee? It's not more so let me do you a solid or a favor. Um, so now at this point, we really got into just saying where's the value at with working with us. So very family oriented, family business. We're have flexibility, meaning that it's not so hard to take a day off, those things like that. Also, when it comes to like where my team is, it's just multiple ways to grow because I'm a growing business. So I always showcase how that leadership tier and how that future looks at hands-on moving and how you could fulfill those gaps. So I think that opportunity to grow with a small business always gets people to stick around and say, okay, if I work hard in this position, I can get to that position. And then the last thing is, as you motivate your current team, they help build out and bring in great people. So now it doesn't even have to be a public announcement that we're hiring. I could just kind of tell my team in a staff meeting, and I probably have 5 to 6 people ready to hire next week because they're like, now, hey, like I have this person that wants to work here. I'm glad that you're finally hiring. They always wanted to work here, but now they have the opportunity. I love to hear that. Like, wow, you're out there saying that you work at a place that you love, and there's people ready in line to join this team. All we have to do is say that we're hiring and they're ready to go. That's the part that I love about, entrepreneurship, where it's like when you really see that your team is excited about promoting your business and they're trying to get people to work with them at your organization. That's when it becomes fun, you know?
And that's the name of the game. And how has that translated into freedom for you?
Oh, I mean, when you have people invested into your brand, it's just like you still being there when you're not there. And then it's like, and that was to the point where like they don't even want me here. Like, get out of here. Because it's like they know the value of the hard work I already put in, and they know the value of when I am here, it's going to sell them. So when I'm not doing something productive as really growing the business, I don't need to be doing anything as far as side by side with the workers. I don't need to be doing physical labor. These different things. It's like, hey boss, get out of here. We can handle that. I don't need to be dealing with customer complaints. Hey boss, we can handle that. You go grow the business. You go network. You go do your lunch meetings. You go do X, Y, and Z because you know what? We see what you do actually works. And you're keeping us more busy. You're giving us more opportunities. You're giving us higher raises. They know that I can't be doing that if I'm sitting in the office. I need to be out there growing. So I love to see that part of the business now, where it's like, no, we understand the value of you as a CEO is to be out there, continue doing what you're great at, than you doing something that, a salary person could do here in the office. Like my team is like promoting that. Like, no, you go do that. And that's great to see. Once you get there, you're in a good place.
And so now this is where we're talking about working on your business versus working in your business.
Correct.
And I want to take a minute to spotlight the ways that you have chosen to work on your business. You mentioned networking, you mentioned the lunch meetings, you mentioned getting out there. Well, some entrepreneurs are deathly afraid of getting out there. They're comfortable inside of their own four walls. They're comfortable with being the top person in their organization and not going into that beginner's mindset to walk into a room of other professionals to say, hey, I'm out here in the world and I'm looking to grow my business. And, it takes a drop in your ego. It takes a drop in your, and your pride. So can you talk to a little bit more about how networking and how working on your business, that using that strategy has really helped you out?
Well, working on your business, it gets you out your comfort zone because we always going to come at a dead stop. I mean, once you get to $1,000 job or opportunity in your business, the $1,000 feels like nothing anymore. Once you get to a $2,000 job, that feels like nothing. And just to be honest with you, as you keep growing, when you start getting to goals, once you keep reaching them over and over, it's going to feel like nothing. So the power of networking is it keeps you balanced, and it gives you that almost like that feeling of when you do work at a 9 to 5, you got that 12 o'clock meeting. It's like it's that guaranteed time that you know that you're working on your business. So I always tell people that when I do networking, I look at it as like this is a meeting that I have pre-scheduled that's guaranteeing me this week, out of 4 hours of this week, that I actually did something on my business. No matter if I do any other minute or any other second throughout this networking meeting, I know that I feel good that I took an hour and a half to work on my business. Now you join multiple networking groups to change that hour and a half to maybe 10 hours a week, maybe 15 hours a week or whatever. And what you're going to start seeing is the conversion rating is going to change. Working in it, working out of it is going to go like from 80 to 20 to, then it gets to 50 to 50. Then it starts being the opposite, where it's like it's more 80-20 of working on and 20 working in. And once you see that scale changes for you, you'll understand that you're going to start seeing change overall from a from a profit margin, from an employee relation margin. It all benefits when you really work on the business. Like you're going to have to get more employees. You're going to have to get more vehicles. You're going to have to, bake more cookies. You got to bake more cupcakes. You got to do more event planning. You got, you have to do more eyelashes. Whatever industry you in, just you working on it, it's going to produce in every other category, which is going to make you have to grow. So I say purposely find opportunities to do networking. Start off on a small scale and maybe one or two groups, and just let it just happen. And then what you do is I say pick one day. So on Wednesday I do majority of all my networking. I do my 8 o'clock networking. I do my 12 o'clock meeting, a lunch meeting with someone. I got a 6 o'clock CEO meeting that I go to on a Wednesday. So I just make Wednesday just my CEO day. That's my time to get out there, go meet with a commercial company and so on. So just make it one day a week that you can just call it your CEO day. And that guarantees you that you got 4 of those out of the month. You're going to see a change, and you're gonna want to make more CEO days after you make your first one.
And I know we had a CEO day last Friday, and we were able to share what we're working on and network and really help each other grow our businesses. And that's for the people that aren't networking right now and they don't see the value in networking. They might think it's a grind, or it's just Xavier, Joe, it's just something else I have to do and other time I have to put in. You've made networking fun. You've made it work for you. You've taken strategies that you've learned all through your life, your career, and just who you are in the world. You brought that into your networking, and you are you in your networking. You're not, Xavier Richardson, the CEO. You're just Xavier Richardson, and I love that. And I've seen so many people take networking and try to fit it into something that they're not and try to be something that they're not. Can you talk about just being yourself and being an individual and the freedom to be who you are in networking, how that inspires other people to be their own authentic self? And that's really what helps you succeed in networking.
Oh, absolutely. I always tell people when it comes to networking, um, we all have a skill and we all struggle in the area as well, right? So when I look at it when it comes to networking is I love to talk, right? And I'm the go-to guy, and I'm the guy that know a lot of people. So if you know a lot of people, but you're a horrible public speaker, you could still perform well in a room when it comes to networking. Because now when I come to networking, I just say, what do you need? The giver gains model. What do you need? I'm just going to give, 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 give. Because you know what? When I do get to the opportunity of if I struggle with public speaking or talking in front of a room of a lot of people, once people understand my value, they don't even care about if you're nervous or not when you do that presentation. They already understand the value and the stamp on what Xavier Richardson is. So I always tell people, put your skill set and your value up front, be great at that one thing, and then people will help and assist you in those different areas that you fall short at. And that's just the power of networking, where it's like, all right, you're a videographer, like, why are you trying to do anything other than video? Like, if you are great at video, do your presentation on the video and then just press play. If you are horrible at public speaking. So it's just like, if you're a Mrs. or Mr. Organizer, then just organize your presentation in a different way that you don't have to speak as much, but it has great colors and it has great photography. Like there's ways around those things that we're not as great at. And that's the good thing about entrepreneurship is you make a team to help you with that. But when it comes to the networking part, it's like I always tell people, just put in the forefront what you're great at. Let me say, hey, you're great at this. I got this in return, and I'm going to keep valuing what you're great at. So we have a friend, Mr. Lou, he's just a network guru. He knows everybody in the world. So all he does is he just, hey, what you need? What you need? Hey, you need a bag of chips? I got a guy that got a truckload of chips. I just drop it off at your house. Like he's just the go-to guy. And I'm pretty sure he's just happy being known as the go-to guy. So just find something that someone could be happy knowing that you're that person that's the specialist in that one individual thing. I'm happy with just being a mover in Connecticut. If you like everything else I do, being a good father and all those other good things, great. But I always wanted to say that I'm the best mover in this state. And I just say that I'm just going to perform that way. And then everything else comes to fruition once you get to know me. He's also this, he's also that. But just kind of narrow down that one thing that you're great at. And when it comes to networking, people are going to value that, support that, and bring it to the next level. And obviously, if you're great at the job that you're bringing into that network, that's the first thing you need to be good at. The job that you're promoting. So if you're a mechanic, you better be a good mechanic if you're going to be networking, saying that I'm the best mechanic.
And if the audience couldn't tell, you just hit your comfort zone. You hit you lean back in the chair and you said, "Hold on, Joe, we're gonna buckle up for this part of the interview." And to know Xzavier and to plug into his energy, I highly encourage you to reach out to Xzavier, because what we're going to talk about next, and what we have been talking about, and I could ask this question in the beginning, but I wanted him to tell the story of it, and he just did. But this is his empire state of mind, and he has that empire mindset where most people just have a 9 to 5 mindset. Give me a job, I'll do it, pay me at the end of the week, I'll go home, I get my 2 days off, and then I go do it all over again. I do that for 40 years, retire, and then maybe live 10, 15 good years. Well, Xzavier has a different mindset on business, has a different mindset on life. And he likes to call it the empire state of mind and the empire mindset. So you just heard Xzavier talk about all these pieces of his empire mindset, but I know there's much more to it.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about this empire state of mind.
So empire state of mind, it could go. You could take it in many different ways, but it's really enjoying. It's kind of like the time freedom. It's like enjoying what you really want to do, dream big as you can, and reach for it. And now that may be something from a financial standpoint. I want to be a millionaire, or that might be to the point where I want this, let's just say this candy store to, be ran on its own. I want 3 employees. I only want to come in once a week, and that's your empire. Like, you put the stamp on it. So that empire state of mind is just that bigger goal of what I want as an individual that works for me and give me the freedom to enjoy it. I just want people to enjoy what they do at the full capacity. So yes, I'm a person that got 8 moving trucks and I want multiple locations. I want to get to the point of 100 trucks. There's no difference if you're a person that has a smaller moving company. Let's say your goal is just to have 5 trucks in one location. Long as you are enjoying those 5 trucks, long as you're taking some couple vacations, long as you're seeing your kids, grow up and going through every special moment, it's perfectly fine with my crazy self that wants 100 and you only want 5. That's the empire state of mind. Just really dreaming, getting to that goal of what you want, and not settling for something that's just temporarily. A lot of people just settle for that 9 to 5 and say, hey, I could live off $1,000 check or $2,000 check. It pays for my mortgage, it pays for my car, and I could do 1 vacation a year. I'm cool with that. I could just settle with that. But I also always wanted to start this business doing X, Y, and Z. But you know what? I just going to keep tabling it until the right time comes. No more tabling. Let's get that empire state of mind and say, hey, let's do it now. Because as we all learned from the pandemic, it's never the perfect time. We don't know if tomorrow is promised. And you don't want to leave this earth not trying to even attempt your dream, not even trying to attempt your empire that you want to build for whatever that may be. And that's kind of what I come from, where it comes from consulting. I come across a lot of people that just say, hey, I've been tabling my ideas for so long, and I finally want to just do it. And that's the client that I want. A person that just said, I've been doing this 9 to 5. I got my side hustle. It's been my side hustle for 5 to 10 years. I just don't know when to just take the leap of faith and just really go all in, you know?
You know,
And
I
that's that potential success versus actual success. That's that statement I make of you got a lot of potential, but let's just make this to a actual thing. Let's really do this thing, you know? And that's where we come in and we get excited and we get into those consultation meetings to get them to that next moment and say, hey, you got potential. I'm not about to make you. I'm just about to remind you that with all this potential, this is how I'm gonna make your empire. And that's it. We're gonna do it together because you're the one with the potential, not me. You have the potential to do these things that you already share with me. So let's bring it to the next level to build up that empire. So that's how it looks from a Xavier Richardson business consultant. It's we do this thing together, and we make that empire be whatever you want it to be. It does not have to be $1 million company, $2 million company, $5 million company. It's whatever you want it to be. You know.
And you segued this interview perfectly to my next question, which is, okay, we're gonna role play for a minute. Okay, I'm a business owner. I'm doing my side hustle. I got one foot in the 9 to 5. I got one foot. I'm dabbling in this business that I got. I enjoy it. It's kind of my night and weekend thing. But I got this 9 to 5 that's draining all my energy and sucking all my time. And I'm thinking small. I'm small minded. I'm seeing that guaranteed check coming in every week, and I got bills, I got mortgage, I got rent, I got car payments, credit card. I got all this stuff, right? Talk to me more about where the shift has to happen. What has to happen in that state where I'm playing small and I'm a slave to these bills and all these obligations that I have, um, because I know that there could be a temporary pain involved with, you know, maybe dialing back on some of my expenses and, removing some of these obligations and making some life changes, right? So I'm setting this up for you because I want you to take it from these objections where people say, I can't afford a coach. I can't afford to, just go all in on this. But life is ticking, time's ticking. And life is going to, like you said, it's going to get to a point where now this is the point of no return. You wish you started that business. I would have done it. I should have done it. I could have done it, but you never did. And you go down with those regrets. So I'm sitting here, I'm worried about kind of transitioning. I have all these obligations. Where do I go from here?
So this is the way I look at it. There's always going to be changes in your life, right? And we always figure it out. For some reason, when our back is on the wall, we figure it out, right? So, if you get sick and the hospital bill is a little bit more extreme, you figure out a way to make a payment plan to do what you got to do, right? You want to go on a vacation that's 8 months from now. What do? You pick up overtime so you could go on that vacation. You put in the overtime at your current 9 to 5 to make it happen, right? So it's the same way in that stage when you have that dilemma of like, I really don't know how to transition. You just make a plan. And people forget that we make plans every single day. But when it comes to wanting a business, we don't do a business plan. We say, let's freestyle a business, but we're not going to freestyle going on vacation. We're going to take the time. We're going to put in overtime. You see people going crazy. I'm working double shifts. I'm doing 16-hour shifts, blah, 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 blah. I used to hear it when I worked in the 9 to 5. Oh my gosh, I've been killing myself. I worked 70 days straight because I'm going to, Aruba in the summer. I'd be like, wow, all right. You need to get some rest, but I see you really want to go to Aruba. But then it comes to the business. Oh, I don't got time, I got a lot of things to do in the afternoon. I don't got time to go to networking. There's no difference of going to networking to maybe get a return of someone supporting your business to help grow it versus you taking in overtime to go on that vacation. So we got to understand that word planning is key. You got to have a plan. And sometimes the plan doesn't really cost much. Sometimes you just got to really just sit back and just make some goals for yourself And then if you need to get someone to support you on the plan, as far as from a financial part of a coach or a consultant, pick up the extra time, find those gaps, cut out those extra expenses that's unnecessary to put a couple $100 aside to get a business coach or consultant to do that. Understand that there's a return on that. Me, working with these people is going to help me bring in more money in my business. Same thing with marketing. If I put money towards marketing, it's going to put my brand out there more and more people are going to call me. Everything comes with a return. But you got to first, number one, have a plan. And number two, you got to just do it. Like you got to just do it. And then honestly, sometimes you just got to take the risk. But what is the risk on maybe having something of your own for a lifetime? We take risks with everybody else, everyone else organization. We put in all this time for all these other companies and businesses that you're a number on a piece of paper, but you don't want to take a risk for your dream. We're going to put your dream on hold. We ain't not going to put a couple $100 or something towards your dream, but we're going to save $10,000 for a Aruba trip next year. So these are the things where, like, sometimes I think that it's just that moment when you really realize that I put all this time into everything else. It's time for me to be selfish and put time into me. That's what I always tell people. This is your time now. This business and this dream is for you at this point. Let's get selfish and let's do it for you. Let's cut out all the other stuff. Let's take 6 months to 8 months to focus on only you. Let's cut out all the extra stuff that doesn't matter. And before you know it, they can value and find the time to pay for this, pay for that, and they start seeing the return on investment. And that's when I start seeing that business plan turns into from potential to actual to we open up the storefront to we started the business, we launched it. You got the ribbon cutting, and then now these people that really felt like they couldn't do it are now saying 6 to 8 months later to a year later, oh, Xavier, thank you so much for pushing me. I just needed to think differently. I need to have a different mindset. You talked about mindset, and that's a whole nother conversation that needs to happen. But mindset is where it really is.
And I love that because not only does it give the plan gives them that clear, this are the action steps I need to do. This is where I'm going. This is where my life is going in the next 6 to 8 months. And then this is how my business will go the first year in business. And this is what needs to happen, right? You had a corporate job, 9 to 5, good money. By night and by weekend, you had a red Honda, hand truck, and you were moving people.
Mm-hmm.
And this started hands-on moving. You rented Ryder trucks. You rented your first building. I'm not going to tell the whole story. I'm going to let you tell it.
Yep.
But you actually did this. This is not something that you read in a book. This is not something that you learned in a college course. This is something.
It was a plan that was made up by me, that was free, to now be able to compensate someone that could help me blow it up a little bit faster later on. But the first plan is on you. Like, I made a plan to say, okay, I work overnight. I got this time during the day to do something selfishly for myself, which is my dream to have a moving company. How does that look? Oh, I can't get the brick building. How about I start on a smaller scale with just a hand truck or two? Bingo. So those are things I tell people, like, there's 2 different plans. It's the smaller scale plan and the empire plan. Before you get to the empire, sometimes we got to start the smaller scale plan, and then we'll transition over to that. So when I'm doing business planning, which is part of all the things I do with my clients, I give them 2 type of plans. Let's initiate this now, and then let's make sure we transition to this empire when we're ready to. Because there's always ways to kind of sneak into an industry without being the big boy. So I just snuck in with my little Honda Accord, and then people would start looking around the competition like, oh my gosh, he got 8 trucks out here. I see him on the highway. I see him in Guilford. I see him in New York City. But you got to remember, the companies that have been around 8 years ago, they didn't know about the Honda Accord that drove by them was, $2 million moving company 8 years from now. They didn't know that. They just saw a red Honda Accord driving by. So that's what we are talking about here, is like that little car that drove by, probably the CEO of the moving companies, they never knew that that was their future competitor. that's going to have multiple trucks and go into bids contracts against them. And that's what we're talking about, in regards to how that transition looks. It's just by starting and having a personal plan for yourself and a personal goal for yourself. And yes, you will need a community. Your community is your network. Your community is your friends and family. And your community is people like me and you that already been doing this. And you can tap on our shoulder right now, not later on, right now, to just see where you need to go to build your empire. And before you know it, you may be ready to go with us right now, 6 months from now, a year from now, a year and a half from now. I was so scared of marketing in the beginning when I first had my first marketing meeting. I will pay $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month right now for marketing because I understand the value of it. But in the beginning, I had no clue. I wouldn't give you $200 if you asked me. You know, now I'm willing to give you 10 grand. So it's like it was a different mindset. But I had to have that meeting. I had to understand it, learn it. I had to have a plan. I had to see how it works. You got to get started, people. That's the biggest thing. You got to get started.
And what's the mindset when you're driving in that red Honda? What's the mindset of the CEO driving the red Honda? Where you already see this as a multi-million-dollar operation. You already see this as multiple locations. You already see this as dozens of trucks on the road. In your mind, that's set to that, right? What are some of the other things that you have to avoid letting into that mindset that could corrupt it as you're in those starting phases of business?
Overall negativity, but fear. You got to push up the fear. I'm just thinking of driving in that Honda with 1 or 2 workers with a hand truck in the back. We were very free. We were thinking big, but we knew that when we saw the competition, we knew that we were going to be better than one day. So when you see the competition, be inspired by it. When we saw the competition, we saw the moving piano. We're like, we need a YouTube on how to move a piano. Like we took it differently. When we saw that something like fear was happening, that maybe a dilemma on is this something that's right for me right now, I just kind of invested in research more to figure out how I can be what I'm scared of. So when I come across those times when I came across those times in the beginning, like, oh, like I don't know how to network. I just start researching on how to network. Oh, okay, I'm supposed to dress up. Okay, I need an elevator speech. Okay, just research, guys. Like this is 2022. Like any fear that you have, you could probably just Google it. You could just literally Google it. I am scared of talking in front of people. There's going to be a list of things that's going to tell you what to do if you're scared of talking in front of 100 people. And then you're just going to read it and you're going to go to that first thing you're scared of, that first meeting, and try to be as prepared as possible. And then after you do, you'll be like, oh my gosh, my research helped me. That wasn't as bad as I thought. That's what I did after my first networking meeting. I had a cheat sheet. It's like cheating. I just cheated before I went to the event and said, I already know what to do before I get here. I already researched, the chambers of commerce and what they do at the chambers of commerce and blah, 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 DNI. So, I'm just a great researcher. And that's what I did when I first started my business. Like before I came into something, I don't know how to move a piano, but I'm going to research how to move a piano.
And you took that beginner mindset. You stayed in that beginner mindset. And that is part of that empire state of mind, is staying in the, hey, it's okay to not know. It's okay to not know how to move a piano, but I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to learn how to move it. I'm going to get the best people that can learn how to move a piano and get them on my team. And that's one of the things that I put up in the comments. Google your fears, and I attributed that to Xavier because it's true. Yeah. So, Xavier, we have about 10 minutes left, and I want to touch on you as a family man, as a father, as a person of the community. Please share how being successful in business and chasing your dreams and Googling those fears and facing those fears head on, how has that made you a better husband, a better dad, a better son, brother, and person in the community?
I mean, overall, I mean, trials and tribulations through entrepreneurship and getting to where I am now, it made me understand that it all relates to the personal side. So, your children are going to get sick before you go on vacation. So, I'm going on vacation tomorrow to Mexico. Two of my kids are at home sick. What do I do as a father in this moment? How do I prepare for this? So these are things that I just noticed that like this this journey of just going through what I want for my dream, my personal dream, just overall balanced me as how I could really be that Superman in every moment. Because now I feel like Superman. Like once you go through so much to kind of get a business started, which is very hard, and then maintain a business and grow a business, like you get tough skin, you learn a lot of things along the way, and it just contributes to everything else as far as being a husband, a father, and valuing things and people. So if I could value my employees, you think I don't value my wife? Absolutely, because I learned the the beautiful part of valuing people is it makes a difference for you. It makes your life easier. So it makes my life easier at home too that I value my wife because she allows me to do the crazy things I'm doing with building this empire. And then those special moments with my children, they love their dad. They love those dad moments because I value those moments as much as I value everything else. I give 100%. I have a clear plan on what I want to do with my children and my family. I structure everything like a meeting. I structure everything like, hey, let's get this in the calendar. I had to change that. I didn't know that from day one, but it's like these little things we forget. We have to understand that you got to be honest with yourself that this phone and this Google Calendar makes you remind you of the important things that you must put in your daily life, in your daily week. So I schedule everything now because I don't want to forget it. So it's just the same thing with having a plan for your business. When I say just give yourself 2 hours a week to just network, it's the same thing. Give yourself 2 hours to go out for dinner with your wife a week. Find a time to take every individual kid maybe somewhere differently once a month. I'm not asking for much. I try to split the kids up where it's just me and you, and me and you, and me and you for this one moment once a month. I'm not saying overdo it, not once a week, maybe once a month. So these things just kind of overall related from the entrepreneurial side to the personal side. So hopefully that answers your question. I just let those, I just let that over. I just let that be my overall balance of just thinking of everything in an empire state of mind from personal and business.
And I know that the freedom that you've gained with leadership, with all the tips and the strategies that we've discussed today, have just led you to be an overall wonderful businessman. You're a great father, you're a great husband, well respected in your network, in your community. And you always talk about giving back, and that's one of the things that greatly admire about you, is that you're able to give back of your time and of your profits back to the community. Can you tell us with the last few minutes of our interview, where has the freedom that you've created been a great asset to your community and your ability to help them and strengthen your presence in your community?
Well, I kind of skipped over the LEAP program, but my first opportunity of work was as a junior counselor for the LEAP program in New Haven. So, I mean, I was 16, 17 years old. Now I'm 30 years old. And what I do now is I give money towards the LEAP program every single year. That was my that was my foundation. That was what I started from. That's when I was a kid in New Haven, looking up at college junior counselors, senior counselors, helping me with extracurriculum activities, helping me with my reading and my writing. Like so now, when I have the opportunity to get back to a program like that, I remember that hey, I was that kid that sat in that classroom from a lead kid to then having my first job as a lead counselor. like I remember those steps and how valuable it was to me. So, what no brainer? I need to get back to that, organization that could continue to be finding the next Xavier Richardson out there, the next Joe Perrone out there that wants to get to that next level and need that support. You know, that's where I put my money at. Same thing with Elephant in the Room boxing gym that I'm a part of. I'm on the board. Like I understand that we have to have some type of organization like Elephant in the Room doing what they're doing in the community 24/7, but they need to operate with some type of cost. That's where we support that. So these different things that I'm just involved with, it's just there's a lot of it more children based. Um, because I remember as a child growing up in the inner city, how easily you could be pulled left, and easily you could be pulled right. And these different programs honestly make a change. And we really got to support them enough to give them, all that we can to keep doing that. And I was that kid that was not pulled left or pulled right because of these different programs that kept me where I am. So that's why I invested in it. We got the Him the Fathers basketball tournament, like these different things. Like we understand the value of starting way down with these children or kids, and we understand like later on that they're going to be right next to us in this world, driving cars and opening businesses and working 9 to 5s and things like that. And we need to give them every resource that we can, if we're able. So
So, Xavier, it's amazing because some people think about freedom and success as drive the big house, the nice car, the luxury vacations, but you take it to a whole new level where you're able to show up for your family, you're able to show up for your community, you're able to show up for that next generation and use your resources and the outreaches that your business has. And I know that leaders that you've created in your companies, they also value community outreach and just so blessed to have people like yourself and your team in the community. And just last couple words about that freedom that's created, and where the material you can go left or right with the materialistic point of view and having nice things. We're not condemning having nice things on this show by no means. But how much greater is that feeling for you, Xavier, when you see that next generation being lifted up? Your leaders in your team and in your network having the ability, because you've taken the time to invest in yourself, your business, and working on your business. What's the feeling like that's created for you?
it's an amazing feeling. Like so on a Friday morning when these guys line up to get their check, it always remind me. Like I try not to even be here on a Friday morning because I get in my little emotional moment when I'm seeing 20, 25 people sitting here getting their checks, and they look like me. They're young, you know, and then I hear them dancing like, "Oh, look at my check, 40 hours last week. Oh, I killed it last week." Hearing those words, you really sit back and be like, "This is what I'm really doing this for. This is really what I'm doing it for." Like, I could close this business down. I got a degree like a lot of other people have. I could go make 6 figures working for any company as if I want to right now. But it's not that moment that you feel like what I just feel when I open this door on a Friday morning and seeing people really getting a return on what they put in here working at my companies. So that's the biggest thing I love. And then like seeing over time like new people come in with like different skills from different companies that they left that company to work for my company. Like when you start hearing those conversations, it's different when you build someone up from scratch. But when you see someone with a talent come from a different organization and been there for years and now want to bring their talent and their skill to your organization, it's kind of like, you think about sports. It's like if LeBron James just come to hands on moving, it's a different ball game, but you also value that LeBron James wants to come here. So it's the same way of that's the special moment that I love. Just that excitement within someone just working here at this company. Like I love seeing them. Like I've seen them dance out in the lobby, just excited about how much they made for working so hard last week, you know? And that's what you want to see. Like that's when it really, you know, that what you're doing really matters, you know, it's making a difference. Even when I started out, it was like 3 cars in the parking lot. Now it's like, 15 cars in the parking lot. We got to get a bigger parking lot. So that means that your company, the guys are making good money. They're getting cars now, and they're getting more successful now. When you hear those type of things, employees buying a house, like these things and these conversations makes you smile. Like, oh, like this is where the hard work is coming from now. Like my team is benefiting from it. So not to drag on, because
No.
that's my special moment, seeing my employees benefit from my hard work that I put in from day one, along with my team. Like that's what I care about. Like as long as my team is winning, like I'm big on team. Like I always say, are we winning? Like my team needs to be winning, hands on, like not just me. So that's what I care about.
And you do care about it, and you do it daily, and I admire you for it. And I hope that this episode will be one that people will just stop and say, "Man, I want to meet Xavier. I want to learn more about what he's doing to help business owners. I want to transition out of that 9 to 5, and I want to make the leap so I can have a difference in my community, have some impact, and live my dream and adopt that empire state of mind." So thank you, Xavier. Where could people reach you at?
Thank you. So you can reach me at xrichardson.com. That's my consultant business website, www.xrichardson.com. And, from there, you will see my bio, the different businesses I own. And if you ever need any service, they're clearly listed between moving, landscaping, and transportation. But my biggest thing right now is if you're an entrepreneur, let's get on a phone call. Let's talk, see where you are in your business. And from there, we're going to turn potential success into actual success. All right.
Xavier, it's been a wonderful hour. A reminder for everyone to subscribe to the Wake Up with Giants Network, like us on Facebook, and join us next week on the Freedom Hour. Thanks again, Xavier.
Thank you, buddy.